Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of my Let's Play World of Tanks here. And I figured I'd talk up on a few different little things since my last video, which was a little peek into Clan Wars there that I had. I just wanted to kind of show you guys what we typically go through when we play Clan Wars. Figured I'd just get you right into it as opposed to talk over it, let you see exactly what we do, what we go through, the process of calling, the process of selecting the right tanks and following a strategy. You kind of got a glimpse of what the strategy was, and I mean, you could probably figure out exactly what our plans were. Now, Clan Wars really comes down to a few different things, and it's a lot of having the right tanks available to you, and we don't exactly have a full slew of tanks, readily available. We do have about a good 20 to 25 people who are Clan Wars eligible, but just, of course, everybody has a random smattering of tier 10s. It's not like everybody has upwards of 4, 5, 6, tier 10s. I mean, I think there's maybe a handful of us that have that many that we can access, and maybe quite a few others who just have 1 or 2. So it's one of those things where we are doing the best we can, and of course, this Clan Wars campaign, we were able to actively participate almost all 3 of the turns that have been out. Of course, the 4th one is going on currently, or will start, I think, this week. But anyway, we only were able to really participate in the first 3. The last one, it's getting above and beyond us. We were able to do the best we can. We were able to take ground, but then we sadly only held it for about a day and then ended up losing it due to unavailability of players and unavailability of tanks. So it really came down to just what we need to do is we need to focus more on playing together, getting everybody to get stuff up. They need to get their tanks built up because we need more tanks that we don't have available to us. We also need to work on player skill. I mean, that's obviously a thing that everyone has to worry about, is you need to get to the point where people are almost not needing a caller to tell them where to go, what to do, when to do it, and just general knowing, just not only the weak points of tanks, but it's other advanced skills, as I'll put them, such as timing out when other people are on a reload, or knowing if a hit's going to be successful and when to run to another part of the map, and judging based on, certain aspects of the map as to what's a safe area, what isn't, when you can move, when you have cover, how to actively cover people, just sort of working as a much larger group sort of things. And so we decided we're going to step out of Clan Wars temporarily, go back, do like company battles, do tournaments, and also try and build up more callers, because obviously a caller, who is me, I'm the only active caller that we have. I'm the one who basically finalizes the strats, finalizes the tanks, finalizes who's coming, and of course, as you noticed during that video, I was the only one who's calling out what people should do, when, where, and how. I get the ultimate say over what anybody does, and they are expected to listen to a T. And that is a needed skill, is to not only be able to have somebody to be that commanding, follow through, or follow out and call those things, but also to have people follow without question those sorts of things, and not, think that, hey, my idea is going to be better. You got to trust in that caller, regardless if you think that your idea is better, because you have to think that they have a good idea going. So, and that was an awesome slide by that T-51. But yeah, so it's one of those interesting little things where you gotta, unless something is really highly potently standing out that the caller cannot see, cannot do, that 100% is going to work, you almost have to rely on the fact that that caller is doing his job to command. Now, of course, that's a whole lot of stress on that caller. That's why we're trying to get up more guys, more callers, because I'll tell you what, being the only caller, having to be on every night, because otherwise you have to fall back on a guy who isn't experienced enough as a caller, that's rough. So we want to build up more callers, we want to build up a better tank selection, just general stuff like that. We want to be able to field 2 teams total. That's like that's our perfect goal, with a few subs that can swing either way. That would be the optimal thing. But of course, that's also getting away from what WWPD set out to do, and that was to just, be a group of people to have fun together and, do all the sorts of things together. Not necessarily be as ultra competitive as someone like Anvil, or in the case of the video in the last time, such as Tesla, Volt, or any of those crew. And I mean, everybody has good groups. I really can't speak highly enough of all the different groups that we've played against and played with, and just generally, Clan Wars has been a pretty good experience. We've never had any problems with anybody. It's some people say that, oh, it's the elitists and blah 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 blah. Now everybody I've ever ran into is always nice, always outgoing, and I mean I've every single clan that we played against ended up having diplomatic talks with either an ally of theirs or whatever, and every night is a new twist and turn in Clan Wars. That's just the way it is. And yeah, I guess overall you can say it really is a game of diplomacy between the very high-ranking clans. Yes, that is a true factor, but there's also little elements here and there that goes into it that, you know, I'm not getting into that whole political diplomatic side of things. Yeah, we had some diplomacy stuff going on here and there, but in the reality of it, it's whatever suits that clan at the time being. If they want to work with a whole lot of other people and sit there and farm gold and are content on whatever they have, by all means. If they want to just, you know, be random and push and try and take, you know, more territories and or just simply land in one spot, Death Blossom out, sack everything, and then retreat off the board, that's also an option. I mean, there's a million and one ways you can play Clan Wars, and it's just something fun to give a little bit of extra, something different to do to the game. So we are obviously stepping out of it for now, but I mean, it's something that I definitely want to do when we get more tanks up and active again. And of course, tournaments are one thing I definitely want to do. Beyond tournaments, I definitely want to do some more company battles. And of course, just different platooning together, getting to know each other better, working together better. That's kind of like the optimal thing of World of Tanks, is you want to platoon and work together. So I've talked a lot over this video, so let's go ahead and take a look at the stats to my little SU-101 game here, with my crazy 4 kills, and we'll continue with something after that. Not a bad little game for the SU-101. I'm really starting to like this thing, actually. It has a crazy rate of fire on it, and it hides really, really well. And on top of it, it bounces very well, too. So, nothing really too major that pops out here. Of course, the ×3 makes it look a lot bigger than it really is. But, I mean, still, for a, I think that was actually a, yeah, that's my triple there. So, basically it means I got about 1,000 experience, which is not bad for a single. So, yeah, I'll take it. I got 4 kills out of that little thing. Of course, a lot of it was just driving around shooting stuff as it kind of popped out in front of me. Camped a little bit, as you should, on El Haluf. So let's go ahead and take a look at the team score. And as you see there, I was not on top of the damage charts by any means. I was somewhere in the top 3, I believe. Maybe top 2, if I get those numbers correct. Yeah, and top 3 for experience. But, you know, I contributed. So that's all I could really count on. And my team, my platoon, we did 8 kills out of the complete group, so we did half the kills between us, so not too shabby. And then we move on to the detailed report there, and we actually see what was the important part. Did about 2,000 damage with that tank, which is nice, bouncing up to 1,700, which was what is that, hits received 8, so bounce 2, absorb 6, oh no, 2 of them were penetrating hits, 6 were bounces. Cool, that's not bad at all. And then not too much in the way of spotting damage. Yeah, so cool little game, 1,100 experience, tripled to 3,300. So, not a bad little game there, and we'll go ahead and pop into the next one. I kind of like to keep this after action report kind of short, so I can talk more. Sounds kind of weird, but yeah. Anyway, let's get to another battle, shall we? You'll have to forgive me as my voice is starting to cut out. I actually just returned today from Historicon down in Fredericksburg, Virginia, where I was playing in a tournament down there for a game called Bolt Action. It's a 28mm historical, well, not even historical, 28mm World War II tabletop game. Anyway, enough about that. So, yeah, a lot of people have been complaining about, well, a lot of people were complaining about artillery when it was first in the game, and now a lot of people basically have disavowed SPGs. It's like a rarity to see them in matches these days, or at most you see 1 per side. It's a rarity to see more than that. And that's really because the whole accuracy changes, the change to the dispersion, as well as the travel time of shells, the reload time, the aim-in time, all that fun jazz. So with all that combined, it really has made artillery more difficult in the fact that you really, really, really have to be patient. You gotta let it zero all the way in. You gotta really place your shots and wait for people to make silly mistakes. You gotta just change things up so that you're really making it so that you're placing shots on people who are standing still, or placing shots on people where you know that they're heading to. You really got to basically pre-aim your location, or aim at certain people who are more campish. But even then, I mean, artillery is such a rarity nowadays. It's made the game a little bit nicer, I'd say. As much as I like SPGs, it's they've really gotten out of the hands of the casualty players. They're now more of a, you really need to be an expert in artillery to make it work very well, because it really is it's not easy. I'll put it that way. I still like them, but it's not easy. It's not nearly as effective as it used to be, and it's probably for the better. It takes a really patient player to use it effectively. I'll put it that way. That's the easiest way I can put it. But I still enjoy artillery. And you do still need them in Clan Wars. You still need them in lots of battles. But I think it's a more fun game now that there's a handful of artillery out there instead of a massive chunk of it. But needless to say, that's besides the point. Anyway, so I was talking about how Clan Wars and how we're getting out of it for now. I mean, I hope you guys picked up what I was trying to do in that episode, where I was just trying to show you guys what we go through, and that was occurring on a nightly basis for Clan Wars. We weren't one of the ones who had landed, who had, you know, all these sorts of diplomacy acts where we just kind of got to hang around and do absolutely just the small little battles here and there, or the just chipping battles just to get points, or not points, but what do you want to call them? Oh, I don't know what to call them. Not points. I can't come up with the term that you need now. You had to get a certain amount of battles to be counted as being active during the Clan Wars campaign. So that's kind of what a lot of people were doing. So we never really had that. We had to go through every night. We had a landing tournament, and we had to go through that. And then when we were on the map, we had to defend our property because we only had where we landed. One time, though, that battle which we went through there was the only time that we actually landed on a rebellion area, or a riot. And that was kind of cool, because I mean, those are kind of like a smaller landing tournament that then you don't have to go on to defend the next night if you land in a good area, or you know the people around you, so on and so forth. You don't have to sit there and continually get hammered late at night with the people who are landing. And I mean, it still was rough. When we ended up losing it, we had to play at like a 12, or no, it was like almost 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning when we were playing. So it was rough, just because of how things worked out. That's another thing that we're probably backing away for Clan Wars for, is because of the whole timing aspect. Well, a lot of our people can't get on for the 8 o'clock rounds. I'm on the East Coast, if that helps with that. But yeah, so a lot of people can't get on for the 8 o'clock time frames, so that rules out everything on the East Coast of the map. Can't really do anything in the West Coast because it's super late, but a lot of our players seem to center around getting on right at 9 o'clock Eastern, maybe 9:30. And so it kind of makes it hard to find a time that works for everybody, because if you have to go through landings, you're always up until 1, 2 a.m., and then you might or might not actually land, and then you have to go on to defend that the next night at that time, and that's not something you can do if you're doing it every night. So it's a lot of work. It by no means is something to be taken lightly, and I got to give some of these big clans credit that actually, you know, have to deal with the attacks over and over and over and over, because it gets hard to do if you're like me and have to get up every morning at 6 a.m. to go to work. So it's something incredible, and I can now understand why they do a lot of the alliances and the packs and everything, so that they don't have to do these battles every night, because it's tough. It really is. But yeah, so I mean, I enjoy it. I'd like to do it more, but I think that we need to focus, as my clan, at building up to it. It's something that we're not built up for yet. And I mean, that's something a lot of clans have to fight and deal with. So it's an interesting dynamic. I think Clan Wars campaign was cool for like the first round or two, but once it got out of the tier like 4 or so, once it started to get up to the mid tiers, that's when you started to notice all the alliances and everything starting to work, and then all the it became a little too much for us at that time, and just back and forth. So it was a fun experience. I'd like to see what they do in the next one. If they do another campaign, it'd be kind of cool. Hopefully we can participate in that, and hopefully we'll also get on the map at the later point in time. So that, I think, is going to wrap it up for this footage. I guess I'll go into the garage, or not the garage, the after action, and I'll talk about that and wrap it up there. Not too bad of a match in artillery, if I do say so myself. I mean, it's still capable of doing some massive meaty damage to tanks, especially if you're using AP, which I'm noticing a lot more people doing in the higher tiers. The AP really is the way to go. I mean, the stats on this thing are, if you hit with an AP shell and it penetrates, you're doing upwards of 1500 damage. For this one, the 261 is the ultimate AP SPG user, so I cannot recommend using that thing enough if you're an SPG player. But anyway, enough chit chat about that part. Let's look at the stats real quick. So 8,000 experience on a ×5, so that is not bad at all, and 80,000 credits is not too shabby either. I'll have to actually see the breakdown of that one. But yeah, damaging everything I hit killed at least one module, if not maybe more, and that's just the beauty of high tier artillery. You see those big numbers, the big crits on everything. It's kind of cool. And then of course just 2 kills. Not too bad, but I mean that's the point of artillery, is you weaken stuff up so your other players can help kill it down. You don't want to be the one to, you know, drop a shell on somebody and only do 200 points of damage for a kill. I'd rather, you know, go after a big target, nail it when it's at full, and bring it down by 1,000. That's something I'd rather do, and that's kind of how I think artillery should be played, but that's not me. Anyway, looking at the team score there, highest damage there on the charts by a long shot. 5,000 is huge. Experience-wise, though, I'm like right neck and neck with a few other people, I believe. I think actually we're tied. Yeah, I'm tied with 2 other people with, well, relatively tied with one, but tied with another for experience. That's pretty awesome, though, that they're, we're all neck and neck. I mean, SPGs are deadly. They still are very deadly. They're not to be underestimated by any means at all. So when people still say, oh, SPGs are terrible, blah, blah, don't worry about them. Yes, always worry about them. If they're on the battlefield, still consider them a huge threat. They're not by any means neutered as much as people want to believe. They are powerful in the right hands. And of course, the right hands are the patient hands. So anyway, looking at the team score for anything else, I don't really see anything else. The other team did still pretty well. Just our team seemed to kick it together a little bit better. Of course, we have a bunch of high damage people, lots of high damage people. So we're going to move on to the detailed report, and we see, yes, 5,100 damage, well, 5,200 damage is absolutely huge. I was 6 for 6 with that tank, and that's a pretty good fire rate for this thing on a battle. I'm getting about, what, 1 every minute and a half, I believe is what it's looking like there. So pretty good average. And of course, I ended up detecting a few things for 1,500, so it would have been that T-62A that apparently I detected. Go figure. So he got crushed and I got experience for it. So I'm not arguing. Anyway, I ended up getting 18-0 because this was the ×5 event where in addition to that you got some odd percentage more when you were the top damage dealer on your team. So I got extra experience and extra damage, or extra credits. That's how I got what I got. So that's cool. I still got some crazy amount of damage or credits and experience for this tank. So I mean, SPGs are still fun. They're still very deadly. You just got to really know how to use them properly. And yeah, never count them out in a battle. They can still crush hard, especially the late tier stuff. And as I was saying, definitely if they're using AT, or AP rather, they are crazy good. Anyway, so I think I'm going to wrap it up there. I'm starting to lose my voice here, and I want to push this one out to y'all. It's been a long weekend for me, so I will continue recording throughout the week. I'm going to actually have company over this weekend, so I won't be able to record, so I'll try and get some stuff done in advance for that. Anyway, guys, I want to thank you guys for tuning in to this episode of my Let's Play World of Tanks, my little recap of our adventures in Clan Wars. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I guess I will talk to you guys in the next episode. See ya!